Hello everyone, welcome back to the Hindu Explain series. I am Kushagra Goel. And before we begin about today's newspaper, a healthy reminder for all of you that our mock series is still going on. Yesterday we conducted the first mock, and still those who did not participate in the mock test yesterday can still do on the date of 16th and 17th January. And as you would have seen, on our YouTube channel, after the examination was concluded, we provided a detailed analysis of the entire mock test paper. And after that, the results of the mock test were also available. This is again a brilliant chance for all of you to test your knowledge about the CLAT preparation and how and what you need to prepare more so that you can realize your dream of joining your dream law school. So again, I'll remind all of you that the series is absolutely free for all of you. All you have to do is register at online.lawpreptutorial.com, make your free account there, and on 3 to 5 p.m. the exact timing when the real CLAT examination also takes place, the mock test series will be available, and on the same date you will be able to check your results, analyze where you went wrong, what could have been a better strategy for all of you. So once again, don't hesitate, don't wait, register yourself for the series and test your knowledge. So moving ahead, we'll now move on with our newspaper analysis. As you all must have seen that yesterday we did not upload a video, which was in light of a holiday at the Hindu office. Every year after the Pongal holiday, the Pongal festival, the Hindu has a holiday, and therefore we were not there. But now we'll do it with regularity because the newspaper is there for all of us. I will be discussing doubts from January 13th and January 14th. Okay. So I'll again be taking assistance of my mobile phone to read out the doubts for all of you, right? So one doubt a lot of students had was about the meaning of this sentence, the agitation. It was about an editorial that we had discussed on 12th January, okay? The agitation was meant to highlight the demand of the Congress for the recall of the Lieutenant Governor. What is the meaning of the statement? In the strained ties. So see, the Lieutenant Governor is the officer of the central government. He's a constitutional position, right? So any law that has to be passed by, or any law that has to be implemented in the state, in a union territory, has to be approved by the Lieutenant Governor. Now there has been an ongoing tussle between that, and the laws were not being approved. So to raise the grievance against the government at the union territory, the Lieutenant Governor had gone to Delhi. Now the protest was to recall her in light of administrative work not going ahead. So these are political matters about protest and all. What becomes important is for us to know that one thing, that the Lieutenant Governor has to act on the aid and advice of the Chief Minister and his Council of Ministers. That is a constitutional position as established by the Supreme Court. So that is one principle that you all need to know, right? Now moving ahead, another doubt a lot of you also had was about sanctions and why they did not affect Qatar. So we had discussed how, in light of support to Muslim Brotherhood and democracy in general, Qatar, an embargo had been imposed on Qatar, right? Now why would sanctions not be effective? Now the reason could be that, see, the country could be getting resources from somewhere else. So let's say that I or you all tell me that, sir, you cannot breathe from your left nostril, but only when you know that my right nostril doesn't work, probably it would cause me breathing problem. But if my right one does work, then the sanction on the left hand side will have no meaning, right? Similarly, if a country, when countries impose sanctions, but the country on whom sanctions have been imposed can still trade with other countries who make it easier for them, so then the sanctions by one are not really effective. This is the problem that is being faced. This is the thing that is happening with North Korea. Now, the reason US has imposed sanctions on North Korea is because it wants to halt its nuclear program, nuclear missiles program. But because China has been assisting North Korea with trade and economy, North Korea has been able to sustain itself, right? Now, India has been asking for sanctions against Pakistan, but countries have not been imposing it. So see, this is all political realm, but this is the reason why sanctions may not be effective, that there would be other sources available to the country. Okay. Now, moving ahead, this question about intervention. So see, when we had talked about Supreme Court framing the committee, I had told you that see, and there were a lot of editorials criticizing the Supreme Court. See, the Supreme Court has the power to do justice, absolute justice in the country as per Article 142 of the Indian Constitution, right? So under that, the court is free to adopt any procedure. So court, despite terming on the constitutionality of the farm bills, stayed the farm bills, right? Now that is for us to opinionate whether the court actually deviated from judicial oversight to judicial or in the realm of executive and the legislature. That is our opinion. If the Supreme Court has decided to do something, it believes that it is in its power to do so. Okay, the legislature or the executive cannot complain that see, this is judicial overreach, right? Now if the court believes that it can do so, it can do so. It is only the opinion, right? Based on other or precedents of the Supreme Court, we had discussed probably why this decision stands out. That what was the principle that we discussed? That usually when the Supreme Court stays a law, it terms on its unconstitutionality or adjudicates on the constitutional mandate of a particular legislation. But in the present case of farm laws, that has not been discussed, and therefore the opinion that we had discussed about judicial overreach or judicial activism stands true, right? So court can decide whether it wants to go from one aisle to the other. That is on the court, right? It is not on each of us to discuss that, right? We can discuss it, but we cannot dictate to the court. Okay. Now again, I will remind all of you that see, as your preparation for CLAT examination, it is not what is correct or what is not. It is the information from an academic point of view that matters more. So when something is set in stone, that is when we discuss. So when I give you these things, I am telling you from based on a factual basis. I am not giving my personal opinion on these matters. I am explaining you what is in the newspaper. So don't believe in opinions, right? What I tell you at the end is a synthesis of a principle that actually matters to you all, right? Now moving ahead, another doubt a lot of you also had was about presidential immunity, right? That if an act is committed, now see, yes, why actions that a person commits during the tenure of president are immune, but you can be persecuted for those actions after you demit the office. This is in light, this is a real example of it is with the case of Kalyan Singh. Okay, he was a governor, and till the time he was in the office of governor, the cases against him had remained suspended. After he demitted office as governor, those cases have been reopened and the trial is ongoing. Okay. Now moving ahead from the doubts on 14th of January, okay. So on that day, a reminder for all of you, right? So a lot of students had doubt about what is Capitol Hill. Okay, so Capitol Hill is the place where the US House of Representative and the Senate reside. Just like we have the Parliament House, Capitol Hill is the place where the US Parliament sits. Okay, that's a very simple question. Now moving ahead, another doubt a lot of you also had is about the stage of Donald Trump's impeachment. Okay, so today there is an editorial that discusses the stages of impeachment, and I will be talking about that and clarifying with his 2019 case and a 2021 impeachment case. Okay, so stay tuned for that, and now let's begin. Okay. So on the front page you can notice that today is the day where we formally begin our defense, a formal defense against COVID-19. The vaccination drive in India will begin from today onwards. The Prime Minister would be launching it, and the vaccine administration will begin countrywide to the frontline workers. Okay, so this is a brilliant step that we have taken against the pandemic. Okay, or it is now being said that this could be the beginning of the end of the pandemic, because if all of us are vaccinated, then the threat of the disease will be reduced, right? So the talks between the farmers and the government also went ahead. This is apart from the talks with the committee, right? This is direct conversation between the government and the farmer leaders, but they were unconclusive, right? Moving ahead, on the front page, most of it is about vaccines, and then there is the news about the UP anti-conversion law, right? So see, again and again I have told you that as law students, law aspirants, what matters to you is the principles involved, okay, and nothing beyond that. There is an editorial that discusses it also. So again I am reiterating, see, the case of Shafin Chahan versus Ashokan KM, which we have talked about, is one of the most important one that discusses these principles. And there are certain other things about Special Marriage Act which we will be discussing. You don't have to worry about individual cases, what was correct, whether the actions, if anyone is forcing anyone, that is incorrect. But if anyone is forcing free individuals who want to get married but want to separate them, that is also wrong, right? That is exactly what the Supreme Court had stated in the case of Shafin Jahan versus Ashokan KM, that individuals have a right to privacy and adults have the right to make their own decisions, and the society or your family members also have no right to dictate you, right? So we'll be discussing more about it, but again I am telling you, don't fall into the brackets of narrative. Focus on the academic point of view about these things, right? Then moving on the national front, there is not much news that is really relevant for us, okay? So we'll move ahead with the editorial page, okay? Now see, this is a main editorial written by the former president of the Supreme Court Bar Association for all of those who want to become aspiring advocates. That is one of the most prestigious positions that you can hold while you are at the bar, okay? So this is written by Dushyant Dave. He is a senior advocate. This is an analysis of the Supreme Court's different perspective on more or less on the political side, okay? So therefore we will not discuss that in any specification. Give it a read. If you have any doubt about what these things are, or you don't understand any concept within what he's talking about, put that in the comment section. That is why I am not discussing it. It's a very simple from beginning to the end read, okay? Give it a read. If you do not understand any concept within it, put it in the comment section. I will be very happy to address them, okay? Then on the left hand side, private space, making public notice optional under the Special Marriage Act is a relief for interfaith couples. So see, on 14 January, we had discussed a judgment of the Allahabad High Court. What did the court tell? That if you want to get married under Special Marriage Act, you don't have to notify that you are getting married or registering yourself under the Special Marriage Act. This provision that is existing in the Special Marriage Act has now been done away with by the Allahabad High Court, okay? Now, the courts and the editorial tells us that, see, this is in light of the right to freedom and the right to privacy of an individual, that whether or who you want to marry, if you don't want to tell anyone, you have your right to not disclose it. It's similar to that all of us have phones or all of us are living somewhere, right? But our address and our phone numbers remain private. So who we marry or with what religion they have, all of that is private information of a person. If they don't want to tell, they don't want to tell, okay? So it is that thing that the court has stated that, see, this is in light of right to privacy, okay? So see, again, the legal principle for you all to understand is right to privacy is a fundamental right, and the action by the court in this regard is something that is in to uphold that, okay? Moving ahead, double ignominy. This is about the second impeachment. We will be discussing this in a little bit more depth, so stay tuned at the end, right? And vaccine optimism and scientific uncertainty link. This is about, again, questioning efficacy data and all. One thing that I would want to address to all of you, or if you know anyone who is taking vaccinations, one thing that you also have to improve your immunity system, improve your dietary habits so that the vaccine immunity will be higher, okay? it is proven scientifically that if your body is healthy, you have been eating healthier food, the vaccine's effectiveness will be better in your body. So make sure you influence the diet of everyone around you also to move towards a more healthier lifestyle. Okay. Then here is the ground report from the Badayu rape case, the horrendous case of a gang rape on a Anganwadi worker in Uttar Pradesh, and what were the lapses by the police investigation. Okay. Then moving ahead, on the other side of the national news, there is not much relevance for us. There is one military update. Yesterday was also Army Day. It is celebrated on January 15th. Okay. So there were different medals that were awarded, but there is one big news that we need to discuss, which is on the purchase front of military equipments. Okay, that is on the economics page. It is about Indian Armed Forces purchasing drones. 1 second. Yes, on the left hand side, Indian Army inks 20 million deal with Idea Forge for unarmed aerial vehicles. Okay, so what you need to know is what are these aerial vehicles and from whom the Indian Armed Forces are purchasing it. Okay, so the name of the drone is Switch UAV. That is the name that you need to know. And which company will Indian Armed Forces will be taking it from is Idea Forge. Okay, so that is something that you need to take a note of. Why have drones suddenly become so relevant? Because see, if you remember in November, we had discussed the conflict at Nagorno-Karabakh, right? It was through drone warfare that Azerbaijan was able to overawe the armed forces of Armenia, which were more traditional forces, that is ground-based and fighter jets. But drones are something that gave Azerbaijan an advantage in the area. So Indian Army is also moving ahead to prepare itself against such lapses, right? Then moving on, we skipped the international news, so we'll talk about this here, right? So this is Biden unveiling a relief program for United Nations economy, but that is more political news from their side. And then this on the left hand side, this news is about India, the document released by Donald Trump's administration about China and how they want to control it. So this is China responding that, see, this is United States motive coming out clear that they want to stop us. Okay, so this is power game between countries. It is obvious that countries want to contain the dragon or China in general because of its hegemonic tendencies. Okay, and in light of that, US has also listed certain companies. Now what does this mean? If a company is listed on this military list, US investors or companies cannot invest in such companies. Now US being one of the largest economy and a capital intensive economy, what you need to have is that if company wants to come up or expand its business, investment by US companies becomes something of a real importance. Okay, so therefore having that or not having it can be a huge handicap. So this is US government's decision to list certain Chinese companies. Okay, then here you can see a news about after US, Russia pulls out of the Open Skies Treaty. I will be discussing this also in depth today, right? Then here another small news about an award. So Fiji has become the president of the United Nations Human Rights Council. Okay, so this is year on year basis who gains the presidency, and this helps countries to raise different agendas, right, at what will be discussed at UN bodies. So this is why it becomes important, right? So you need to know, keep a note of that, right? Moving ahead, on the economics page is an analysis of our trade deficit with China reducing in light of our exports to China rising and our imports from China reducing. Okay, so that's just a factual analysis, nothing to really discuss. On the sporting front, there is not much to discuss for us. The fourth and the last test is going on, and that is the only big news. So moving ahead, the first one is the Treaty on Open Skies. So see, post 1945, I'm taking you all a long time back, which was even before India got independence. This was the time after the Second World War. There were only two big countries, that was USA and USSR, United Soviet Socialist Republics. Okay, one country was about capitalism and a liberalized economy, the other was a controlled but rather a communist economy, right? Now this was a power tussle between these two countries, and a arms race had also begun. These two countries, even today, the successor state to the nuclear stockpiles of USSR is Russia. Both these countries have nuclear weapons in size greater than 7,000, from 6 to 7,000 nuclear warheads. In comparison, India today only has 140 to 160 nuclear weapons, right? So you realize how much damage these countries can do. Two nuclear bombs on Japan had destroyed each of those cities completely. So that threat was always there. Now to reduce the threat, or to prevent countries with so much ammunition, to prevent them to actually going war, there were certain treaties, arms control treaties, that US and Russia had created. Okay, US and USSR. Now after USSR had disintegrated, the movement to reduce the threat or control or ensure a hot war doesn't happen was ongoing. Okay, one of that was the Treaty on Open Skies. Now what is the Treaty of Open Skies? So come a little closer, India and China today. So how did we come to know that China has been expanding its military apparatus and forces on the border in LAC? Is because during normal patrols, and this had led to a hot clash between India and China in Galwan Valley, and our forces are almost at war footing, right? Similarly, India and Pakistan's border also remains hot, right? Ceasefire violations, and we have to always keep a check whether they are moving ahead on a war footing. This is also true that, see, covertly they came and captured the Kargil heights, and then we had to remove them. Now to prevent such things from happening between US and USSR, a treaty was signed in 2002. What was this treaty? As per this treaty, you can actually surveil the territory of the members of this treaty with unarmed aerial vehicles. Unarmed means no weapons. So you can just see what these countries are doing. You can see the areas where they are moving their troops. What this does is it gives the other, or the country who are in opposition to each other, the confidence that, see, there is no war coming, that you don't have to prepare for a war, your enemy is also not preparing for a war. When do you feel threatened by someone, or when do you want to also gear up or prepare for a war, is when you think that the other party is also trying to do the same thing. Now Treaty on Open Skies was essentially to avoid that, right? So signed in Helsinki in Finland in 2002, the treaty has now, as of today, 33 members, okay, after US and Russia have exited. The US exited this treaty in November in 2020. Why did the US exit it? Because Russia was not allowing access to certain areas of its territory to be surveilled by the US planes, right? So in light of that, US exited the treaty, and because US has exited, Russia has also exited. Now this exiting of Russia is becoming an important issue for Europe, because immediate threat to borders by Russia is on European countries, because US is still on the other continent. It is the European countries who will have to keep their guard up, right? So the treaty's purpose is for unarmed aerial surveillance flights over the territory of its member nations. Okay, so this is the treaty, the members, okay, the big members. I suggest all of you to make a note of all the other members, Google it. I didn't want to waste a lot of space by listing all the members, right? The other treaty that this article also discusses is a New START that was signed in 2010 and became effective in 2011. So treaties have clauses, right? Just like Lok Sabha may pass a bill and then presidential assent is given, that is when it becomes a law, but when it is actually notified, that is when it is implemented, right? Similarly with Citizenship Amendment Act, it has become a law, but the rules and it has not been notified, so the law has not actually been implemented, right? So this is the difference between treaties also, that it was signed in 2010, became effective in 2011. What is this treaty? It is for halving the number of nuclear launchers that US and Russia can have. It has only two members, US and Russia, okay? So it is not about reducing the number of nuclear weapons these countries have, but actually reducing the number of nuclear launchers. Now if you don't have launchers, how will you launch the number of nuclear missiles, okay? So it was again arm reduction treaty, okay, to ensure more peace between these countries, but this is also now about to expire. The treaty had a 10-year expiry period, so just like medicines, it was supposed to expire, and no new treaty has yet been negotiated. US wants China also to be included in a similar treaty, because otherwise, even though you can curtail Russia, a new enemy, that is China, is rising, right? So to reduce or not have an arms race, these two treaties become important, okay? So you need to note what they are and why they are relevant, okay? Moving ahead, about Donald Trump's impeachment, okay? So in 2019, Donald Trump was impeached on what ground? Abuse of power. This is something I told you back then, a couple of days ago also. He had asked Ukrainian government to find certain evidences against his political rival, that is Joe Biden's son Hunter Biden, so that he could use it in his presidential campaign, and stopped the aid that the Ukrainian government was supposed to get, okay? Now in US, the system is that first it goes through the House of Representatives, that is the lower house, okay? So it was passed there on the ground of abuse of power, but the Senate did not approve it. Now in 2021, the ground for it is incitement of insurrection. That is, Donald Trump incited people to go to Capitol Hill, stop the certification of Joe Biden, and let him continue as US president, okay? So the event on Capitol Hill on January 6th, okay, so for that he has now been impeached again by the House of Representatives. The proceedings will now move to the Senate, which are still pending. Under what article are these proceedings supposed to take place? It is under US Constitution's Article 1, Section 2, Clause 5, okay? When there is a clause in a certain section, you write it in brackets, okay? So under this article, the power of impeaching or authorizing an impeachment of a government servant, including the US president, is in Article 1, Section 2, Clause 5, okay? So the power is given to the Senate, and it is under this article. On this note, I will end for the day. If you have any doubts about anything, including the main editorial, feel free to put it in the comment section, and I will be very happy to address them all. Thank you so much. If you like the work we are doing, do give this video a thumbs up, and if you are one of those who haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to it.